If you think you know the truth behind Dr. Brenner's experiments at Hawkins' laboratory, prepare to have your mind turned upside down, because in this video we're going to cover the first official Stranger Things novel, a prequel story that every fan needs to know before Season 5. Since so many of you were interested in my video explaining Dimension X and how Henry got his powers, I decided to make a follow-up where I expand on that subject and address the most common question from the comments: the truth behind Henry and Eleven's powers. We'll also look at Kaylee's involvement in the story, and trust me, it's far more important than you might think. If you only watch the show, you'd assume she played a minor role and could be removed without affecting anything. Eleven would still learn how to control her powers on her own, right? But in the prequel events of the series, Kaylee mattered more than you can imagine. Just to give you a quick recap in case you haven't seen my other video, I explained that when Henry was a little child, a failed ultra-secret experiment sent him into another dimension called Dimension X. He was trapped there for 12 hours, and when he came back, his blood had been altered, granting him telekinetic powers. After that, he became one of Dr. Brenner's test subjects. That's the short version, and I'll link the full video in the description if you want a better understanding. So how does all of this tie into Eleven and how she got her powers? The answer lies in Project MKUltra. Just like the Philadelphia experiment, Project MKUltra really happened in real life. It was a secret CIA program designed to develop mind control techniques to use against enemies during the Cold War. Many test subjects, often unwitting, were exposed to psychedelic drugs, physical and mental abuse, sleep deprivation, malnourishment, and countless other experiments. In the Stranger Things universe, Terry Ives was one of those subjects, and she's the reason Eleven has her powers. Let me explain, and I hope you'll stick with me until the end, because this story is extremely important. Some test subjects could see the future, others mentioned the Demogorgon, and yes, this story heavily involves test subject number 8. All the information I'm presenting comes from the novel Stranger Things, Suspicious Minds, which serves as a prequel to the series. The novel focuses on Terry Ives and her time as an MKUltra test subject, something the show never explores deeply enough. Back in Season 1, when Hopper and Joyce visit Terry, they hear from Terry's sister that Terry ended up in her condition because she participated in MKUltra without knowing she was pregnant. She reportedly had a miscarriage in the 3rd trimester, and because of that she went crazy, inventing a story that the government stole her baby and covered everything up. But the novel reveals the full truth, and it's much more disturbing. I'll give you a quick overview here since the book is a huge read. I'll link a wiki synopsis in the description for anyone who wants the full breakdown. The story takes place in Hawkins in July 1969. Dr. Brenner arrives for the project, bringing test subject number 8. At the time, Eleven's mother was still in college, and she and her friends joined the experiment to earn extra money. As I said, MKUltra's purpose was to create humans with psychic abilities by exposing them to psychedelic drugs, especially LSD. But here's the crazy part. Terry Ives actually did develop powers during the experiments, but she lost them by the end of the novel. And here's the real twist. The test subjects weren't just given drugs, they were injected with Henry's blood. That's how Eleven got her powers. Terry's blood had already been altered by Henry's DNA, so Eleven was born with abilities. All the mothers of test subjects 2 through 11 were injected with Henry's blood, and after they gave birth, the government took their children and covered everything up, just like they did with Eleven. This secondary program was called Project Indigo, and it's explicitly mentioned in the novel. Now back to the show. When Hopper investigates Brenner in Season 1, we get a glimpse of a newspaper article about Brenner and MKUltra. The photo shows several key characters: Alice Johnson, Gloria Flowers, and Ken. Because of the experiments performed on her, Alice gained the power to see the future. In her visions, she saw monsters like the Demogorgon, the Demodogs, and the Mind Flayer, along with other strange events. I don't know about you, but I love when a story ties together this well, and things don't just randomly happen. Isn't it awesome that there are references to Demogorgons all the way back in 1969, 24 years before Season 1? Alice also had visions of a girl with the number 11 on her arm, and she even foresaw 11 floating in the sensory deprivation tank. She kept her powers hidden from Dr. Brenner, but they were exposed when Kaylee revealed the truth to him. After that, Alice was imprisoned in the laboratory. Terry, Gloria, and Ken manage to rescue her, and with Kaylee's help, the group fakes Alice's death, allowing her to escape the lab and move to Canada. Before leaving, Alice offers to tell Terry her future, where she was tortured by Brenner one final time, but Terry refuses to hear it. In the present day, Alice is still alive, so maybe we'll see her in Season 5. Maybe she'll have another vision about the tragedy that will befall Hawkins, and she'll come back to help her friend's daughter, especially because she already had a vision involving her. Wouldn't that be awesome? Moving on to Ken. He presented himself to the group as a psychic long before the experiments began. His ability was more like premonition, feeling when something was off. When Terry announces she's pregnant, Ken reveals he had been sensing something strange about her for a while, and now he finally understood why. He places his hand on her stomach and tells Terry she's having a girl. On the night they help Alice escape Hawkins' lab and flee to Canada, Ken and Gloria drop Terry off at Becky's home. Before leaving, Ken feels troubled, unable to identify the strange sensation lingering in the air, but he brushes it off and departs. Unbeknownst to him, he sensed the fate that would soon befall Terry. Earlier, before their escape from the lab, Dr. Brenner had injected Terry with a chemical that induced labor a month early. It is Ken who later informs Terry that her daughter was not miscarried. She is alive and being held at Hawkins' lab, just like Kaylee. Gloria Flowers is the only member of the group without powers, but even so, she plays a critical role in helping her friends escape. Her experiments focused heavily on interrogation and borderline psychological torture. As for Terry, her abilities most closely resemble Eleven's, especially her use of the Void. We even see glimpses of these powers in Season 2. She can use telekinesis, manipulating objects like changing the TV channel with her mind. She also demonstrates a form of electrokinesis, influencing electrical currents to guide Eleven using the lights in her home. And through telepathy, she's able to reach Eleven inside the Void itself, sharing her memories so that Eleven can find Kaylee. Here's how the novel ends. 5 months later, Brenner has a nurse place baby Jane in a stroller. Kaylee still has no idea that Eleven exists. Jane is a lot of trouble for Brenner with her tantrums, but he knows her role will come. Soon he introduces her to Kaylee as her new sister. Meanwhile, Terry sits in a park thinking about how no one believed her when she said Brenner took her baby. She has lost her powers, but on the bright side, Ken has found someone new. And Alice is happy working with her cousins in Canada. When Gloria visits Terry, they still get along well. Gloria reveals that Ken's new boyfriend works for the lab and managed to obtain a photo of Jane, listed as Subject 11. Terry breaks down in tears, knowing she will reunite with her child someday. Then we see how events continue in Season 2, when Terry stole a gun and forces herself into the lab, managing to find both her baby and Kaylee. But sadly, she is captured by the guards. Afterward, Dr. Brenner has her forcibly put through electroconvulsive therapy, leaving her in the state we see in the show. As you can see, this novel reveals a lot of important information about the Stranger Things universe, and ties the story together beautifully, especially regarding Kali. Because honestly, if you're only a show watcher, the whole Kali storyline feels misplaced, almost as if it was thrown in without purpose. It seems like you could remove her entirely and Eleven would still learn to use her emotions on her own. But the novel shows us that Kaylee is at the center of everything, even though she was only a child and might not remember it all. I'm really curious whether she realized that Eleven was Terry's daughter, because in the novel, the two of them are pretty close. And based on this story, we can hope that Kaylee might reappear in Season 5 to help the gang fight Vecna. If you're interested in more lore about the Stranger Things universe, I definitely encourage you to read the novel. If not, at least read the summary on the wiki page. I guarantee it's worth your time. I hope this video helped clarify the origins of the powers and why things unfolded the way they did. As I said, part of what makes Stranger Things such an epic show is how everything connects and how few things are truly random. The Duffer Brothers even wrote a mythology index before starting Season 2, so they always knew how everything fit together, and I'm sure we'll get the full explanation in Season 5. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll do my best to answer all of you.